Good
Just
morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance's August 2023 webinar. My name is Christine Beck, and I'm with the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. The Alliance is proud to be a funded project of the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities. Today is Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. And I am thrilled to welcome Nanette Larson, the Deputy Director, who's going to be talking about wellness and recovery through using WRAP to stay at your best. A couple of instructions. We ask that all participants are on mute and have cameras turned off. If you wish to engage with Nanette throughout this presentation, you are welcome to speak up and speak out using the chat function. So Nanette, with that, take it away.
Thank you, Christine, and it's great to be with you all today. I'm going to share first just a little bit about myself. This slide always makes me chuckle because I haven't looked that put together in a long time, but I continue to use that headshot for my introductory slide. I have worked for the Illinois Department of Human Services Division of Mental Health for 24 years. And for the majority of those years, I have had the opportunity to utilize my own Wellness Recovery Action Plan, also known as WRAP, and support others in learning how to use WRAP in their personal lives and in their professional lives. And so it is truly a pleasure to be with you here today. So what we're going to do today is something that I refer to as a speed round of WRAP, because we just have a short time together. We're only just skimming the surface, but it will at least give you a nice introduction to the basics. We'll be learning about the top 10 values and ethics of all WRAP programs. We'll be learning the 6 foundational principles of wellness. And in the time that we have, you will actually begin to develop your own personal Wellness Recovery Action Plan, or WRAP. So just as a brief introduction to WRAP, I like to use the title of this slide to give an answer to the question, what is WRAP? So you see the title of this slide says Wellness Recovery Action Plan. And if you start with the last word first, that's how I answer the question, what is WRAP? WRAP is planning action for recovering our wellness. I'm going to do that again, starting with that last word. WRAP is planning action or action steps for recovering our wellness. And many people would say, well, what kind of wellness are you talking about? Or what is wellness? And that's a wonderful question, because the answer is whatever kind of wellness you're talking about, because it's your WRAP plan. So you choose what kind of wellness you're talking about. WRAP can be used in any aspect of life. It can be used for your personal physical wellness, for your personal emotional wellness, for wellness in your finances or in your relationships. I could just go on and on with examples of ways that you could benefit from WRAP, and I'll be sharing some ways that I have benefited from WRAP during the time that we have together. It says here that WRAP can empower individuals to move from passivity to self-directed action. And that's one of the most powerful things about WRAP, is that it puts us in the driver's seat of our own lives. So on this slide, we have just a few basics of introducing WRAP to you. If you're unfamiliar with it, it is a self-designed prevention and wellness process. That means you develop your own WRAP. No one else develops a wrap for someone else or for you. Each individual develops their own wrap or wraps. Many of us have multiple wraps that we have developed for different aspects of our lives. It helps us to develop action plans that assist us in recovering and sustaining our wellness. And again, remembering that can be any kind of wellness that you choose. It can be used by anyone to get well, stay well, and make their life the way they want it to be. And it has been used by people in all kinds of circumstances and by healthcare and mental health systems all over the world. WRAP has been studied extensively and shown to be effective and has been listed in the National Registry of Evidence-Based Programs and Practices. So I use this slide to further emphasize the point that WRAP can be used to develop or address any aspect of life. These columns you may recognize as the social determinants of health. And under each of these columns are examples of aspects of our lives that affect our overall health and well-being. And the nice thing to me is that I could pick anything off this chart or anything off these columns and identify a way to write a wrap for that, so to speak. And so just to give a couple of personal examples, I will look over here in the far right column under the healthcare system and share that I live with multiple sclerosis and have written wrap plans for living well with MS, which you may be familiar with as a chronic neurological condition. I live with chronic migraine condition as well, and so my physical healthcare wrap addresses issues related to both chronic migraine and living with MS. Then looking in the column to the left of that, community and social context, I wrote a wrap plan for relating to my mom. I wrote a wrap plan for relating to my mother. Indeed, as a matter of fact, that's probably one of my greatest success stories because grew up in a very challenging situation, and it was the desire of my heart to have a healthy, positive relationship with my mother in her old age and as she transitioned to the other side. And I truly believe it was through the development of and putting into practice those action steps that I wrote down to developing a wrap for relating to my mom, that I was able to have a healthy and positive connection with her in the final years of her life. And I'm super grateful for that. So those are just a couple of examples. I don't want to linger here too long because of our time constraints, but wanted you to hear some of those personal examples from my own life. So furthering the point that WRAP can be used for anything, I like to share this wellness guide to overcoming isolation. It says during COVID-19 because that's when it was written, but it's applicable for isolation at any time, of course. But the point that this brings is that this guide was released in April of 2020, and we faced COVID in March of 2020. So what did they do? Instantly wrote a wrap for that. And they published it and made it free, and it's still free and available for digital download. And so again, it's teaching what you're learning today is the basic structure of a wrap. And when we learn how that structure works, we're able to respond quickly in what many would call a crisis and not have it be such an intense crisis, because I have a frame for that. I know what to do. Boom. And we'll learn today, what are my wellness tools? What are my action plans, right? So it's a frame of reference for responding differently when life comes at us with something intensely unexpected like COVID, or something that's chronic like me living with MS and migraine. All right, so starting with the values, ethics, and foundational principles. I like to think of this process as like the process of building a house. And if you know anything about building a house or any kind of building, the first thing that you do is to lay the foundation. So we're talking about the foundation right now. We're not putting up any walls, hanging any windows, doing anything of that detailed sort. This is the foundation. So I've developed what I call the values and ethics top 10 list. And it's important for you to know that this is what I call it. There are over 30 different values, ethics, and guidelines in the WRAP program. And I pulled out these 10 as I think significant, or in some cases different from how people have experienced other programs. So I'm going to walk through these 10, and as I do, be asking you to identify which ones stand out to you the most. So first and foremost, everything about WRAP is built on hope. Hope is recognized as being essential to recovering our wellness. And again, remembering that that's any kind of wellness. So I'll go back to my story about writing a WRAP for relating to my mom. I believed and had great hope that I was going to be able to have a healthy relationship with my mom in her final years. And that hope was the foundation of the plan that I wrote. And I'm sharing that in contrast to another plan, which I wrote for WRAP for relating to my sister. And I am still struggling to have the same hope that I can have a healthy relationship with my sister. It's getting better, my sense of hope. But what I've discovered is that WRAP is not very successful for me, because I don't actually believe it's going to work. So I don't even try to do the things that I wrote down. So what I've realized recently is that I would benefit from writing a WRAP for increasing my hope, right? Step before the step. I have a friend who's a life coach, and he says, you're always 100% capable of doing the next step. And if the next step seems impossible, there must be a step before the step. So the step before the step for me is focusing on increasing my hope for that relationship to be healthy and positive and restored. Number 2 is tied to number 1, that there are no limits. So hope without limits. Hope, you know, the phrase, the sky's the limit. And that doesn't mean that we ignore real, true barriers that we face and are living with, but rather that we recognize that there are strategies that we can put into place in our lives that will help us to overcome those real, true barriers and to have full and happy and successful lives. Number 3, all participation is voluntary. So voluntary participation is one of the key elements of WRAP, that no one will tell you what to do. No one will tell you what to put in your plan. No one will tell you who to share it with. No one will tell you what parts to do. All of it is personal choice. So that's why we help others learn the structure, but we won't ever say this is what you need to do or what you should do. Those are like bad words, should and need and all that stuff. No, it's your choice, right? So number 4 ties to number 3. Personal choice is always valued, and we always give others choices and options, not final answers. So some of the benefit of WRAP is that we share loads of ideas and choices so that people have those options, and then maybe one sounds like ding, 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 that's going to work, right? And number 5, focusing on simple, safe, and common sense options. I think one of the things that people really appreciate about WRAP is this focus on simple, safe, and common sense options. It's just not complicated. Once you get it, you get it. And it doesn't rely on complex strategies, high technology, jargon, right? I mean, it's jargon-free conversation, and it's I used to say things. I guess I still am saying it. I'm saying it today. Like, it's things you learn from your mom or Oprah. Like it's just the everyday things. It's just putting those everyday things into a structure that you can activate them when you need them. Okay, number 6, remaining focused on strengths and away from deficits. That's another one of the things that I know I love the most about RAP is the emphasis on what is well versus what is unwell or wrong or not working. Loads of emphasis on what is strong versus what is wrong. And then 7, 8, 9, all kind of tie together, really celebrating and embracing diversity and people's diverse experiences, unconditionally accepting one another, and sharing that mutual equality, dignity, compassion, and respect. I'm in the game with you. I'm not better than someone. I'm living my rap, you're living your rap, and we're sharing with each other what works so that we can continue to live well, right? Wellness is the key. And then number 10, rap is adaptable to anyone's personal philosophy. So I especially like to highlight that one because regardless of other things that are of significance to you and your way of living, rap allows you to incorporate those things versus saying, but this is rap and that is that, right? But rather I can take my other aspects of my life and things that I believe and fold them into my rap. Hopefully that makes sense. I think it'll make more sense as we move forward. So I'm going to ask you all to communicate with me in the chat box in response to this question on this slide, which is which one of these values and ethics stands out to you the most and why? So on this slide, I've highlighted the first 5: hope, no limits, voluntary, choice, and strengths. I put those in purple so that I could just pull them out quickly. And so if you could share which one stands out and then share why. Why does that spark you as significant? And I see Christine wrote choice. I like choices. Thank you for that response. Anyone else want to share which of these stands out to you the most and why? Sally says voluntary, cannot start without choosing. Oh, I love that, without choosing to follow. Absolutely, that personal engagement. Oh, Tavares says no limits. That just energizes me. I watched a video of persons with MS at the Grand Canyon. I've never been to the Grand Canyon, but like this video was a no limits video. It was, we're not going to allow these disabilities to hinder our ability to engage in and enjoy this magnificent place. Climbing, like really, like incredible, no limits. All right, and then let's do these. Amy says no limits. It allows us to think outside the box. Yes, absolutely. I love that. And then from our site titled Notes, they say voluntary. And Morgan says remain focused on strengths away from deficits. Who wants to focus on deficits? Amen. All right. And Leanne says hope. All right, thank you so much for your participation. We're going to move, speaking of Leanne Hope, we're going to move to the foundational principles, and you'll see that the first one of those is hope. So RAP puts a lot of emphasis on hope, and I think we need all the emphasis we can get on hope because it's contrary to the way our society operates, right? And so even like every time I see on my schedule that I'm going to get to do a presentation on RAP, I'm energized by it because it puts me in that mindset that I can sometimes not be in, which is hope first, right? So you see here that the definition it says behind hope, first, believe you can, then set goals, then keep believing. And I think that this is something that's completely overlooked in most systems of care and even just in most ways we go about life. We set goals and oftentimes we don't believe we can achieve them. And guess what? We don't. I mean, that's the whole January 1st thing, right? New Year's resolutions. We roll our eyes at ourselves. Like, oh yeah, one more time. I've made the resolution to exercise or lose weight or change my diet or whatever. And we're not even like telling ourselves we believe we can do it. And so RAP says, you know what? Let's recognize this situation and let's identify the need to believe first before setting goals, because otherwise we set goals and we fail, and then we continually find ourselves in this cycle, and that's a self-defeating cycle instead of a self-energizing cycle. So going back to the thing with my sister, my realization that I need to back up a step and say, first, believe this can get better. And if I'm struggling to believe that, then what rap do I need for that? How can I write a rap for that? For just believing it can get better before I try to set some kind of goals about it. Okay, I'm getting too long-winded for the time we have allotted. So let me rein it in. I do get excited. Okay, the second principle is spirituality. You will see these are color coded. So the first two are purple. So hope and spirituality are tied together. And in RAP with spirituality, we talk about what matters to you the most, what gives you meaning and purpose. And so for some people, this may be tied to a faith or some type of religious belief system. For many people, it's not. For many people, it may be their family. Or it may be even their job. And so with spirituality, we really go to the core of the question, what matters to you the most? And that has, I think, helped people to recognize that we all have a spiritual core, even if it's not necessarily tied to a faith or religious belief system. It gives room at the table for all people to identify their why. So spirituality is kind of the answer to the question, what's your why? Why do you want what's in that top thing? Hope. First, believe you can, right? Why do you want a good relationship with your sister, Nanette? What's driving that? Why does it matter to you? Even systems like Weight Watchers has caught on to the importance of identifying your why. Weight Watchers now recognizes, don't just set a weight loss goal, tell us why, get a picture. If it's your kids, put the picture of your kids right in front of you so that you're making choices based on the thing that drives your energy and your passion toward the goal. That's the spiritual core. All right, hope that made sense. 2 more in blue and 2 more in green. Personal responsibility and support. So these two I kind of look at like a scale, side by side. And if the scale is off balance, one too high and the other too low, then we're tipping over, right? So personal responsibility is me taking my own action, making my own decisions, doing the right things. And support, of course, is leaning on others for encouragement and accountability. If I'm too heavy on the personal responsibility side and I resist leaning on others for encouragement, then I'm going to ultimately just tip over. And then likewise, the flip side, if I'm really, really excellent and leaning on others and having others do for me, and I'm not making choices for myself, I'm going to tip over, and my supporters probably will too. And so we want to keep these two things in a healthy balance. So pay attention. Next slide, I'm going to be asking you, as I did before, which of these stands out to you the most. All right. And so the last two, education and self-advocacy. So education is all about getting good information to be able to make good decisions. So if I had written this principle, I wouldn't have called it education, because I think education causes our minds to think about formal schooling. But this is really just about information, right? Like we know that we cannot make good decisions without good information. So we need that good information so that we can do the one that's up there in blue, personal responsibility, make choices. So getting all the information we need to make good decisions. And then the other one in green, self-advocacy, is communicating effectively and changing that style of communication based on the situation that we're in so that we can get our needs met. So these two things go together in the sense that, okay, I'm going to give my example with migraine. I get loads of information about what types of things are going to help me live best with chronic migraine condition. But if I don't communicate my needs to my boss or to the people that are around me, then maybe we can't dim the lights when I need the lights dim because I didn't ask. Maybe I can't get reduced screen time because I didn't ask. And so these are things that I know from getting good information that I can make choice for myself. But if I don't communicate effectively what my needs are, then I'm not actually going to be able to get my needs met in all those different situations. Okay, hopefully that made sense. And I'm going to stop saying hopefully that made sense because I've said it like 16 times. Okay, so on this slide, it is asking us which of these do you use the most and which do you use the least. So you can do them together, like in the chat, you could put most, hope, least, spirituality, or however you want to do it. You could just answer one of the two questions, just whatever you want to do. But if you just put in the chat, make sure you put most or least by it so that I know which question you're responding to. Which of these do you use the most? Which do you use the least? And we have hope, spirituality, personal responsibility, support, education, and self-advocacy. All right, Christine says most information, least support from others. Yeah. So, and I just will tell you that least support from others is very common. I think we just as a society we Americans, right? It's the American way to be self-sustaining, self-sufficient, self-everything versus leaning on others for encouragement and accountability. She says, phew, I'm normal. Absolutely. Sally says, hope, most, support from others, least. And again, we see that reinforced. That's a very common experience. And so it's one of those things that we're learning in RAP to value leaning on others for encouragement and accountability. Amy says most spirituality, least, there we are again, support. And Tavara says, I kind of use all of them, sorry. Well, we will say no sorry needed for that. I would say congratulations. That's fantastic. And Adam says most advocacy, least spirituality. All right. Thank you for sharing. And we're going to move on to building the house. All right. So I mentioned that those parts that we just talked about were kind of like the foundation of the house. And oftentimes when something's not working and I do have a RAP, and I'm doing everything in the RAP, the first thing that I would do is say, how's the foundation? So I would look back on those things that we just talked about, like, what am I missing in these foundational things? Because I thought I had something working here and it's not working. All right, so now we're going to talk about the parts of RAP. There are 8 parts of RAP. And so someone said, does that mean I have an octagonal house? And I just have to leave that alone because I did not run the metaphor all the way to its end when I said it's like building a house. So if it has 8 sides, I guess, I don't know, maybe you think of it as 8 rooms instead of 8 sides. Okay, so the first part of the RAP is the wellness toolbox or wellness tools that you put in the wellness toolbox. So the wellness toolbox is not an actual physical toolbox. It's a conceptual toolbox. And it generally tends to be like a list of things. And some people do create because they're creative people, which I am not, but they will design like a little toolbox and put physical things in it to remind them of their wellness tools. But for me, it is literally a list. So the wellness toolbox contains things that you already do to help yourself stay at your best and things that you might like to try in the future. So we're just going to toss a few of those out there. You can share in the chat box what yours are, right? But for question number 1, we're looking at the very everyday common things, right? Just things that you do. Like you might, it might answer the question, I really like to ... right? So I like to go for a walk. I like to go hiking. I like spending time with my godson. I like, right? So these are things. I like coffee, right? And so this is the list. The list is on and on and on. It's the things that, well, you like it because you feel happy and healthy when you're doing it, right? And the wellness toolbox list can go on as long as you would like. There's no end in sight, and it can include things that you never do. Never. For the longest time, I had on my wellness toolbox list gardening, because I remembered something positive about gardening from being a kid. And it was like, I liked that. That was fun. I liked digging in the dirt and things like that. And then, I decided I would go do some gardening, and it hurt my back, and it was hot, and the dirt was hard, and it didn't want to be dug. And I was like, yeah, I'm taking that off my list, you know? So it can be anything. It can be anything, and it can be something that you remember doing, that you enjoyed doing. There's no should on the wellness toolbox list. Like, I should do this or I should do that. It's all the things that just bring you joy. Meditation, Sally says, and laughing. I love it. Those are great examples. Okay, so we're going to part 2A. And part 2A means that there's a B, right? So we have 2A and 2B. So the first part of the daily plan is at my best. It's a description of you when you are doing your best self, right? So the question on the slide says, how would other people describe you, or how would you describe yourself when you are at your best? And then there's a follow-up question of how would you like to be? Now, the follow-up question is only there for if you can't answer the first question. Some people have a very hard time answering the first question. And that's because we're not usually asked this question. We're asked about our symptoms, we're asked about our pain, we're asked about our problems, but we're not often asked, tell me about you, like when you're doing great, right? So I'm going to really slow my roll a little bit here to dig in this area to make sure people are able to contribute and make sure people are getting this feel for this, right? Okay. So here are my words. I have these words on a sticky note right here on my desk so that I can see them every day. And WRAP is centered toward this part of the plan. We call this your green star self. This is me at my best. And I have 6 words: positive, productive, focused, smiling, witty, and energetic. That's Nanette. That's, you would say, the goal of WRAP is for me to be as close to my green star self every day as I can be. So all the things, the wellness toolbox and the other things we're going to talk about, are centered around, that's my goal, right? So remember, we said focused on strengths, not deficits. So we're not focused on getting rid of anxiety, which would, be something I could do because I have a lot of it. Let's get rid of it. But instead focused on being this thing: positive, productive, focused, smiling, witty, energetic. That's me. That's the me that I'm happiest being. So we develop our WRAP centered around this at my best. And that's why I titled this presentation, Using WRAP to Be at Your Best, right? So for you, I'm asking you all to consider at least 3 words. Now you can type them in the chat if you choose, but 3 words that you would use to describe yourself at your best. And remember, when you're sharing, you're helping others, right? Just like me, when I'm sharing my examples, I'm helping you. So even if we have 2 or 3 people that can share, it might help others that are learning today to say, oh, that's me, right? Because sometimes this is a difficult part of the plan for people. Here we go. Amy, thank you. Happy, creative, and purposeful. Excellent. Thank you so much. Christine says competent, fun, and open to new ideas and people. Great. And Adam, smart, funny, and outgoing. And I've seen Christine smile and laugh like, yeah, I know Adam. That's definitely Adam's best self. Sally says optimistic, calm, and supportive. Yeah. And isn't it wonderful how each of us is different in our best self? And that's what makes it so enjoyable to be together, is that we're each different in our best self. Morgan says caring, helpful, and fun. Okay, wonderful. And it's so delightful to me that you all are able to engage in this. Oh, I missed one. Tara says funny, fashionable, and present when I feel my best. Oh, wow. Fashionable. I love that. I don't think I would ever say that about myself. I might say dressed. All right, too much. Oh, and Christine says, yes, I can see these in the people I know. Oh, that's just so delightful. So just an affirmation from someone here who's saying, yes, 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 that's how I see you as well. That's just beautiful. Okay, so then part B of the daily plan are the action items. And since it's still the daily plan, it's connected together, A and B. So the action items are, what do I need to do every day to be that person? Right? So now this is different from the wellness toolbox. That wellness toolbox list could go on and on and on, and I could never do it. It's just there for me. If I want to do it, if I feel like it would help, it's there for me, the wellness toolbox. But the daily plan action items are designed to help me be that person I just said I am, right? So for Nanette, positive, productive, focused, smiling, witty, and energetic. What do I need to do every day, and when will I do it? Right? So it gets very specific. So that's also different from the wellness toolbox, because the wellness toolbox, may do it, may never do it. But with the daily plan action items, I'm going to specify when I will do it. So the example I will share with you is water. Drinking water is one of my daily plan action items, and I have a when, right? So I have a what and when. I have a commitment to myself to drink 64 ounces of water every day. This water bottle is 32 ounces, and I fill this in the morning before I start my work. And my goal is to have it empty by noon. That's 32. And then I fill it again at lunchtime, and I have that empty by 5 o'clock. That's my 64 ounces. And so it's very specific, it's measurable, and it's something that I can check in with myself when I'm staring at my little list of words and saying, I'm not even close to positive or productive or focused. I haven't smiled yet today. Who's witty? Not me. Where's the energy? Gone. And then I look over here, and this bottle is still full, and it's 3 o'clock. And I haven't hardly taken a sip, right? And so it's tying together the daily plan at my best description with the action items that I said, if I do these things, it's going to help me be that person, right? So they don't all have to be as specific and as tangible as that, but I love sharing that one because it's very specific and tangible. Others that are on my list, I have a very specific plan for getting proper rest. As a what will I do and when will I do it? I have a bedtime that I adhere to, and I can't force sleep. You can't make yourself sleep, but I can be responsible for when I turn off the screens, when I turn off the lights, those kinds of things. So I'm responsible for that, and I try to be very focused about that. And then beyond the physical, the social aspect of wellness, I have a check-in with a friend daily, right? And what will I do? When will I do it? I will check in with someone daily. I tried to do that over my lunch break, is to at least make one social contact, because I work here in my house by myself and I live alone. So I could literally go 5 days in a row without any human contact outside of screens. So I try to be intentional about that. Okay, so let's get some examples in the chat. Checking my time, 10:42. Let's get some examples in the chat and put the what will you do, when will you do it, right? So if you're going to share like exercise, put exercise and then put some specifics behind it that you don't have to get overly detailed, but just to give others in the group a feel for these types of examples of daily plan action items. Oh, we got one already. Perfect. Okay, Christine says coffee first thing in the morning, water throughout the day, only 1 pop a day. I love that you gave one that's a like a limit, right? It's not I will, but I won't. So I won't have more than 1. So yeah, that's really, really good. And there's 3 of them all in there. Coffee first thing in the morning, water all day long, and only 1 pop a day. And Christine says, yes, I could easily go well beyond 1. No doubt. For me with coffee, I have 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and that's it. And then I confess that yesterday I had another one at noon. You know. But I have an absolute no caffeine after 2 p.m. That's an absolute with me. So Sally says, go to bed around the same time. Don't stay up past my bedtime. Get up and make my bed. I like that, Sally. Yes. And those things make a difference in our wellness, right? The little things like making your bed every day. Excellent. Anyone else? Because we're going to fly through the rest of the plan. Since we're at 10:45 and we only have 15 minutes, right? We go to 11. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, so part 4 of the plan is stressors. And stressors are defined in WRAP as events or circumstances that might make you feel unwell or throw you off track if they happen. So the thing about stressors is that we all have them and we all know what they are. We're very familiar with our stressors. So that's not unusual. Like that's not something that makes WRAP special. But what makes WRAP special is that we don't just identify stressors, we plan for them. We plan for them. That's the empowering part of WRAP. That's the proactive living, that we identify actions that we could take or wellness tools that we could use. Remember, we wrote this long list of all the things we like doing, going for a walk and playing with the dog and, you know, all these things that make our lives better. We have that. We can lean on that list to identify things that we could do to respond to these stressors when they come up. I have a friend whose email was hacked just recently, and I got a note from her and said, I'm sorry to say my email was hacked. I'm happy to say I have a WRAP. And so you would say, well, you like what? We're all supposed to plan for all these potential issues? No, we don't plan for all these potential things that we don't know, but we, with a wellness toolbox and with a different way of living, we don't react to these stressors the way we maybe did even just this morning, right? We have a new way of responding. We respond with action planning. We respond with, okay, take a deep breath, like they did with COVID. Oh, everyone's isolated. Let's write a WRAP for that. What can I do? How can I respond? What's within my realm of control, right? So identifying stressors, which Christine already gave us a couple examples in the chat, unexpected emails and tasks. It's a great example, right? And so then the RAP process would say, okay, now what actions can I take or wellness tools can I use to respond when these come up? Well, they are unexpected. So how do I plan for them? So I'll give you my example. My example is technology problems, right? Like, I'm not a tech person. I don't feel comfortable dealing with tech. And so the person on this graphic on this screen here, the way she has her hands up against her forehead and she looks toward her computer with distress, that used to be my response to tech problems. Like, just, ugh. And then I wrote a rap for dealing with tech issues, and just quite simply wrote 3 action items for this stressor. So I didn't write a full-blown rap, wellness tools, all the things, just this particular stressor. And my 3 action items are: first, change my posture. So you see how she is. That's how I would used to be. But now, when the computer's not working, I lean back like it's a relaxation moment. I use my physical body to tell my brain it's okay. It's okay. Even though my brain doesn't think it's okay, but if I lean in and put my hands on my head like she did, I feel more stress. So I use my physical body to lean back like I'm just chilling. Like, oh, it's just, apparently the computer has given me a forced break because I can't figure this out. Then I do the next thing that tells my body, my body tells my brain that it's okay. I take a big deep breath. And then I call for help. Yep, that's action 3. It took me forever to learn that people love tech. Not me, but there are people out there that love it. And so I have a list of those people now, and I know, like, they actually enjoy getting a call from me to ask for help. So just because this is a stressor for me doesn't mean when I call so-and-so, they're going to feel stressed about it. They're like, oh, I can help you with that. And they get really energized by it. May as well tap into those resources, right? That's the principle of leaning on support. So it doesn't mean that I don't try. I do try. I do my very, best with the knowledge I have, but I don't limit myself to what I can figure out, and I don't drive myself into further stress just by saying I'm going to have to figure this out, because I don't have to figure it out. There are loads of people out there that can help me. And Christine put in the chat, kind of like putting on your own oxygen mask before helping others. Yeah, I love that. So you see at the bottom of this slide, it says RAP isn't RAP without the app. And the app, of course, is the action plan. And so the RAP mindset then becomes, what's my action plan? So my friend who wrote me the other day about her email being hacked, when she said, thank goodness I have a RAP, that's what she's saying. I have that mindset that says, okay, it's okay. What can I do? Right? Versus how we generally respond to stressors. So what we do with this part of the RAP is that we actually identify a stressor, and we identify a minimum of 2 things that we could do, right? A minimum of 2. So like for yours, Christine, unexpected emails and tasks, you would identify a minimum of 2 things that you can plan to do when those things happen. Because why? Because they're going to happen. So since we already know these things are going to happen, we know they're stressors because we know they happen. So instead of just constantly allowing ourselves to be stressed again and again and again, we say, okay, I'm going to put the ball back in my own court. I'm going to drive my own vehicle here, and I'm going to say, what can I do? So if you can identify those 2 things and put those in the chat for the group, that'd be awesome. I'm going to keep moving because of the time limit that we've got. Okay, so the next 2 parts of the RAP are early warning signs and things breaking down signs. So I do these together because it's just an easy way to get through them quickly and show you the compare and contrast. And there's a total of 8 parts to the plan. So we've got 5 and 6 on this slide, and then on the next slide we have 7 and 8. So we're actually going to accomplish this in the time that we have allotted. Yay! So early warning signs are internal signs. Internal signs that only you know are happening, that things are that you are not at your best, right? So internal signs are things like thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. So nobody knows what you're thinking, what you're feeling, or what your body is doing, right? Only you know that. And these are the earliest signs. So in other settings, sometimes people will use the phrase early warning signs, and then they will tell you what your early warning signs are. And they are things that others notice. In RAP, this is distinctly different in the sense that early warning signs refer to things that only you know. It's something no one can see, and they can't tell you that that's your sign because they don't know it. Only you know it. Now you might tell them and then they would know. That's different. But as far as it being identified, only you know it. So some examples I can give, or for sake of time, maybe not some examples plural, but maybe just an example. Okay, so I have struggled with depression through my life, like as long as I can remember. And depression can come in very interesting early signs, and it starts to tempt me, if you will, with thoughts that if you're with me, you would have no idea that I'm not my happy self that's on my little list, right? But one of the early warning signs that I was able to identify in a RAP seminar similar to this one, because someone said it, that's why we like to all share out loud, is because like, whoa, we can have that aha moment just from hearing someone else. But it was the thought that I don't want to put my seatbelt on. Just a thought. Yeah, I still put my seatbelt on. So if you're in the car with me, you wouldn't know that I have that thought. But that thought is like an early harbinger of this thing that's trying to come into my consciousness. Like, you don't need to really live. You don't need to protect your life. You don't need to take care of yourself. Right? And before I had the aha moment about this particular early warning sign, I would have the thought, put my seatbelt on anyway, because I'm good at that. And it kind of just go on with life. But then what happens is we get to the things breaking down signs. Because if you don't respond to these early warning signs, they are most likely to continue to roll down the hill into the next phase, which is the things breaking down signs. So the things breaking down signs are the signs that other people notice, right? So that would, in this example, be the sign of Nanette not putting her seatbelt on, because I've let that thought linger and linger and linger many times over, and then finally just, I'm not gonna put my seatbelt on. So that's a very visible kind of example of these two different aspects of the plan. I could also give an emotional example, irritability. That might be something you're familiar with, right? Maybe the seatbelt example is like, I can't even relate to that. But irritability is very relatable. Early warning sign, grumbling, internal grumbling, but smiling on the outside, right? Nobody knows all that internal grumbling that you got going on in your head. Meanwhile, you're still looking positive, productive, focused, and healthy. But on the inside, you're like, could just pop somebody. And it's just all inside. And then eventually it comes out of your face. Like it's on the outside, right? So in the early warning signs, it's something that's just in your head. You're just, people say something and you have an internal thought reaction that's just you know, and then but then eventually it rolls down to where you're verbalizing or your facial expressions are different and people start to notice. Okay, so what do we do in RAP? Action plan. RAP isn't RAP without the app. So for early warning signs, we identify the sign and we develop a plan. And same thing, of course, for things breaking down signs. We identify the sign and we develop a plan. And we always say a minimum of 2 strategies. So when that sign appears, you're aware of it, that you have choices, right? Choices and options. That's part of the principles of RAP. We always want to give ourselves and others choices and options. So, you know, for me, with the issue with the seatbelt, my number 1 response is to buckle up. And my second response is to verbalize. It takes the power away. It takes the power of this hidden thought away, because it's not a hidden thought anymore. It's telling someone who's safe, who I trust, I'm having these thoughts. Oh, okay. How can I help? How can I be supportive? And I might say, nothing that I know of right now, but I need you to know. I need you to know this is going on with me. And that way I'm not alone in it, and it's not scaring me so much, because somebody else is there with me, and they know that I'm going through this. In regard to irritability, that's when my wellness toolbox kicks in. When I have that inner grumbling, I'm very aware that it's a storm brewing. And so the things that are in my wellness toolbox are key. Go for a walk, get away from the screens, drink an entire bottle of water right now, like down it all, right? So those are key for responding in the irritability space, so that it doesn't shift into to that part 6. Things are breaking down, and everybody else around you is like, whoa, all right, Nanette, you know, you doing all right? You working your RAP plan? All right. Ooh, time. Ooh, 10:58. Okay, here we go. Last 2. Okay, the last 2 parts of the plan are crisis prevention and post-crisis. So don't get caught up in the words too much, right? Because some people say, I don't have crisis, I don't need this. Just look at the definitions. The crisis definition is signs that would indicate you need extra help. Extra help. So whatever that is for you, because RAP is your RAP, it's your plan. So extra help may not look like, quote unquote, a crisis to you or anyone else, but that's what you would put in this part of the plan. And you get to define what kind of help you want, what's not helpful, who do you want involved, who don't you want involved, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then for the post-crisis plan, it's what are those signs that, hey, I'm good, y'all can back off. You know, right? Because we need people that come to our aid when we need their help, but we also need to know, to let them know when we're back into true self-determined living. And we'd really appreciate that they just take their casseroles and go on home. So, okay. And so this section of the plan, part 8, is what I kind of think of it as transitional. It's transitioning back to me at my best. So in the post-crisis plan, I'm identifying the responsibilities that I feel like I can pick up first. I'm identifying things that can wait. Can the dishes wait? Can the laundry wait? Maybe, but I need to pay my bills. Let's get that taken care of right away, right? And who are the people that helped me in the difficult time that I was in that I might want to thank? And, you know, if when things were breaking down, if things got kind of rough and I was maybe not at my best and not interacting in a nice way with people, is there someone that I want to, you know, communicate with, apologize to, restore that relationship, so that, you know, so that people are able to be there for me in the future, and me for them as well. So this slide gives you some resources. The RAP resources are at wellnessrecoveryactionplan.com. And if you are not yet aware of the new Suicide and Crisis Lifeline number 988, I really want you all to take note of the fact that anyone, anywhere, anytime has access to support of a crisis counselor just by dialing 988. And that is not just in Illinois, it's all across the nation. It's a fabulous new resource available to you all. And with that, we just remind you that RAP isn't RAP without the action plan. And there is a free RAP app available for iPhone and Android. You just type in RAP app and you will find it for your phone. And appreciate being with you. Thank you for your time. And I'll pass it back to Christine. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to mirror what Kira said. Thank you for sharing this explanation in a way that was really accessible. I totally agree. I have heard rap talked about for many years, didn't really understand what it was all about. And now I have a deeper understanding and a great appreciation for what you've shared. And I really thank you, Nanette, and everyone who has come for taking time out of busy schedules to learn with and from each other. Thank you so much. Again, this was recorded and it will be placed on our YouTube channel. We have many other wonderful presentations that are available for folks to check out. I'm going to check out that Wrap app. I'm not good at technology, so I'm going to have to ask my kids to help me out because, that's just the struggle is real. I have to tell you that. But again, to all of you, thank you so much for spending a part of your day with Nanette and the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. Take care, all. Thank you so much. Bye bye.